Scientists have been warning us about global warming since the 80s. Today, we do not need to ask what that will look like. It is upon us, and we are already seeing a glimpse of what is to come. Temperatures are going up, springs are arriving earlier, ice sheets are melting, sea level is rising, the patterns of rainfall and drought are changing, heat waves are getting worse, wildfires are increasing, and the oceans are acidifying. Air pollution killed about 7 million people in 2012. There are countries already struggling to meet the basic needs of their people. California, for example, has just entered their 4th year of record drought, and people in rural communities are currently without drinking water. Food and water shortages are no longer the problems of a third world country. We are seeing these issues right here, right now. The International Energy Agency has been quite clear about the window of opportunity for us to limit global warming, or we will be thrust into the irreversible warming of our planet. And that window closes at the end of 2017. If we do not get our act together immediately, there will be catastrophic effects. Complete loss of island countries, severe droughts, flooding, storms, famine, human sickness, conflict, social unrest, and even wars. We will see the end of the world as we know it in our lifetime. There are 2 parts to solving this problem. Number 1, reduce the amount of greenhouse gases being released into the environment. Number 2, rebuild and protect the systems that moderate climate change, such as our ecosystems and oceans. So number 1, reducing greenhouse gases. This includes carbon dioxide, or CO2, methane, and nitrous oxide. But where do we start? Methane has a global warming power 86 times that of CO2. If you reduce the amount of methane emissions, the levels in the atmosphere go down within decades, as opposed to CO2 emissions, where you don't see a signal in the atmosphere for 100 years or so. Cows produce 150 billion gallons of methane per day. In fact, methane emissions from natural gas and livestock raised for food are nearly equal. Nitrous oxide is 296 times more destructive than carbon dioxide and stays in the atmosphere for 150 years. 65% of all nitrous oxide emissions are caused by livestock. In fact, researchers have found that the livestock industry accounts for 51% of all worldwide greenhouse gas emissions, which would make it by far the most significant global contributor to climate change. The maximum amount of greenhouse gases our atmosphere is able to absorb before catastrophic effects mount is 565 gigatons. It is predicted that without using any oil, gas, or fuel ever again from this day forward, not including the electricity or energy sectors, we will still exceed that maximum 565 gigatons by the year 2030, all simply by raising and eating livestock. So number 2, rebuilding and protecting systems that moderate climate change. Ecosystems mitigate droughts and floods. They protect people from the sun's harmful ultraviolet rays, purify the air and water, detoxify and decompose wastes, control agricultural pests, and regulate disease-carrying organisms. 1 to 2 acres of rainforest are cleared every second to make way for grazing animals and their feed crops, causing millions of hectares of carbon-trapping trees to be destroyed and releasing billions of tons of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In fact, animal agriculture is responsible for up to 91% of Amazon destruction. Livestock currently covers 45% of the Earth's total land, while we can produce 15 times more protein on any given area of land with plants rather than animals. Our oceans create more than half our oxygen. They drive weather systems and modulate the atmosphere. And they are acidifying at the fastest rate in at least 300 million years. 130 times more animal waste than human waste is produced in the US alone. And livestock operations on land have created more than 500 nitrogen-flooded dead zones around the world in our oceans that are already near total collapse due to overexploitation. There are millions of people currently without fresh drinking water, and that is increasing with climate change and drought. We are currently draining our underground aquifers that take thousands of years to replenish, while 20 to 33% of all of our fresh water goes to animal agriculture. Throughout the world, humans drink 5.2 billion gallons of water, while cows drink 45 billion gallons. We are devastating the ecosystems that support us, causing mass extinctions, and ultimately jeopardizing our very survival as a civilization. Our thoughtless appetites are quite literally destroying our planet and our children's future. So what can we all do right now, today, to turn this all around? Well, since converting to wind and solar power will take 20 plus years and roughly $43 trillion, and for you to change the ingredients on your menu is entirely free and will reduce your carbon dioxide emissions by 50% immediately, I would say we should all be having a good hard look at what's on our plates. Woo!